I'm with Owain Glennister at y lle in Llanelli. Owain, Newsinight ran a programme last night. Evan Davis had Ruth Dawson on and a guy called Julian Ruck from Kidwelly. They were hardly the representatives of the Welsh community or Welsh language. A sort of a row has broken out over that, asking why didn't they have a representative, one a fluent Welsh speaker and somebody who had some in-depth knowledge about the history and the future of the Welsh language. At a local level in y lle here, you're running a lot of different ventures and they seem to be chipping away and making a difference. We've had the Language Commissioner and obviously the Language Commissioner, the jury's out on that. There's been a review and the Welsh Assembly Government have chosen to scrap the post. Can we just get a quick view from you on, let's just look at the Commissioner post. Do you think it was the right decision to scrap that post?
I think the jury's out in terms of what perhaps the Language Commissioner has achieved, especially in terms of the opposition perhaps from the local authorities in terms of what they're expected to do. But I think you need to give it a chance, and the fact that they are talking about taking away a post can't be a good thing. We need more investment in the Welsh language, not less. So either way, I think it's a bad thing for the Welsh language. But like I said, perhaps it's not for us to say, but from a local level, what I'd like to see is more investment in grassroots projects. I'm trying to get people to engage with the language, not just Welsh speakers, but people who perhaps have never even engaged with the language in the first place, can't speak the language, but want to get interested and want to learn a little bit.
Julian Ruck seemed to be saying that the reason people weren't learning the language basically is they were doing it out of choice. They chose not to, and a lot of people in Wales choose not to learn the language. There is obviously an argument with the Welsh Language Society themselves and with people who are supporters of the Welsh language in that this is historic to a certain extent where we weren't allowed to speak Welsh. Those times have gone, it's changed. We now have a drive within Wales, Welsh Assembly's drive to encourage X amount of Welsh speakers by a certain date. Do you think that targets and drives and real hard pushes to force people almost to learn the language, if for want of a better word, is the right way forward? Or do you see this as organic but has to have a level of structure and an aim and a target?
I think you have to have structure. The difference perhaps between this project and other projects is this is a lot more freelance, if you like. We've got lots of members of the community chipping in to try and find a new way of doing things. I think the tried and tested means the language has been promoted in the past, perhaps. Have they worked? To an extent, probably yes. But I think there's a scope as well to do new things, to try new ideas, and to try and get people to engage with the language. I think we have to look at the thing from a historic point of view. I think that's important. The reason we're in this predicament now is because of poor planning over a number of years. The Welsh language has been deliberately quashed to keep control of Welsh people, to be completely honest. But I think we need to fight back, but we also need to be positive about how we're trying to do things. And I think we need to look at the historical context to put things right. And I think that in terms of the Welsh Language Commissioner, I think that's definitely one thing we have seen is that the language has been given more of a status, a legal status, and that's vital, I think. But we also need these small community projects to thrive as well, and we do need loads more investment in creative ideas. We took a gamble on this place before there was any funding available because we wanted to change things in Llanelli. And to be honest, it's paid off. We're getting people in, and they're not your traditional Welsh-speaking members of the community. We're getting everybody in. We've got people from Spain coming in and volunteering. We've got somebody who runs a choir here who they sing in Welsh, and he's from Germany, and he's learned Welsh off his own back. So it's interesting, but it's completely different to what's been done before, and I think you've got to back that to an extent as well.
The BBC sort of programme was described as a bit of a car crash, really, with two people that didn't seem representative. And the BBC themselves have come in for quite an attack from the Welsh language supporters. Do you think it's fair criticism? Do you think that was such a blatant mistake or misjudgment on their part?
If I'm speaking on behalf of myself, which I am, I think you'll have to look at the BBC for what it is. It's there to provide a service, but it's also there to perhaps guide people's opinions to an extent as well. So I think we need to be mindful of anything that we do watch on the mainstream television and radio to be confident enough that we can make up our own opinions based on fact rather than some people's opinions or how people have been placed to represent an ideology. I'm someone who perhaps thinks outside the box, and perhaps that was set up to an extent to give the Welsh language another kick, perhaps.
So for you, places like this, community hubs where people can come in, whether they're Welsh, English, Spanish, Polish, it's a welcoming place. It's somewhere where you, if you want to, as you say, you can learn, you can immerse yourself, you can absorb even what's going on around you without having to utter a word of Welsh. Because ultimately language isn't just about the speaking, it's about taking part. It's the cultural side of things, we know that. And again, there are arguments to say that if this was France or Brittany or China, this debate wouldn't even be taking place, would it?
No, the debate shouldn't be a debate. We need investment to secure the Welsh language, full stop, in my eyes. How we do that, again, needs to be looked at in more detail. You rightly said, at the Lle, we don't push the language down people's throats. What we try and do is to show them what the Welsh language is about in terms of culture, the history of it, for example, but also to do the fun stuff as well. We've got a radio station here which we're looking to develop to get people to contribute to. We do a lot of work with bands. We've just helped launch a festival internationally for the first time. And there's elements of Welsh in all of these. So before we start getting people to speak Welsh, I think we need to make sure that they're aware of what we're trying to do and why. And perhaps get the attitude right before we get the million Welsh speakers before 250.
And we saw that when a plebs were touring Felinfol. We had, in a random pub, we had non-Welsh speakers and Welsh speakers all singing away in Welsh, all showing an interest in classical Welsh instruments like the harp, asking questions, taking part, and ultimately the final sort of judgment from those people was, we need more of this. We need to get back to this in the pubs, in the clubs, in the schools, and all of these kind of things. So is that the kind of model you think will work?
Yeah, I've travelled quite a bit, and I've been to Ireland a few times where, spent a lot of time in Ireland, where the music element was very strong. The reason behind that is the language, perhaps side of things, isn't that good, so they're clinging on to the things that give them sort of a unique selling point. Now in Wales, we've got all that music stuff, we've got all the cultural stuff, we've also got the language. But for me, to take that into a pub like the Greyhound and to get everybody involved, it's a complete experiment, and we didn't know how it was going to go. The fact that it worked is a good thing, but again, now what I think we need to do is invest a little bit more money, resources into making that the norm, so that if somebody does come from England and comes to Llanelli on holiday, uses a cycle path, they can go out and they can listen to a Welsh band, and I think the standard of music is phenomenal, to be honest, and I think we need to celebrate that, and we need to make it a lot more common.
Great, thanks for speaking to us. Thank you.